Hey there. I'm coming to you live. I've given weedu the night off, and DJ Danny D has gone to Colombia to play music in the street to earn some money, to buy some milk and honey. He's a real talent, that boy. He's so beautiful. And I'm changing my format for a very specific reason. I'm going to give you a little background. I want you to understand a few things, if I may. Now, Cayce Kaban, that would be me. I'm a writer. I make films. I'm a former chef. I've done a lot of construction. I've managed a lot of properties. And now I'm producing a show with the health guru named weedu, shivambu. Now, weedu emerged because of my urine therapy. I created it because it cracked me up, quite frankly. When I learned that shivambu meant urine therapy, I just translated all of that into something that I found amusing. We, as in me, do, as in do, shivambu. So I think that if you understand who I am and where I come from, you might have a better grasp on why I do what I do. I'm on a mission. I found a dharma that really empowered me like nothing else. And that would have been, urine therapy. It just empowered me. It helped me clean up my body, transform my body. It helped me open my heart. It helped me clear my mind. And for this, I am grateful. Now, my life, there was no easiness about it. I was the youngest of 5 boys. I got kicked around a lot. I actually was tortured a lot, abused not only by my brothers, but neighbors, my brother's friends. I was kind of like a toy, so it seemed, for their sadistic amusement, I suppose. But so many families share these stories. Being a sibling is never easy. Life is never easy. But life is simple when you understand how to really improve your life. Now, I recognize at this point in my life that all things that were brought before me, all people that were brought before me, were perfect mirrors. It took me a long time to get it. As a child, I was a mess, a real mess. I was played with in a utility trailer as a baby. My brothers thought it would be amusing to kind of rock me back and forth and watch me roll around in this trailer. Well, as a result of that event, I ended up having a screw rip my tongue wide open. My tongue had a huge gaping hole. I still have a scar. Today. I had a lisp, a speech impediment, which then became a new form of teasing and humiliation. I wet my bed until I was 12 years old. I chewed my nails till they were bloody stumps until I was 28. I was a lost soul. I started developing really bad habits at a really early age, like lying, cheating, stealing, smoking, drinking, sex, sugar, salt. My habits were long and lasted a long time. I've had 3 marriages, 3 divorces, raised 3 different kids, 2 of them my own. I fucked up a lot. I fucked up a lot. So I work at it. I write in order to relieve myself of the misery that's in my mind at times. That's how I started writing, really profoundly and profusely decades ago. I have thousands of poems in my archives. I used it as a form of therapy. I started writing so that I could understand what was happening to me. And the more I wrote, the more I realized that I was fucked up. I had a lot of problems. And who doesn't? You know, I'd be lying to say that I don't miss my children. They don't want to talk to me anymore. And I started developing a really healthy relationship with them a couple of years ago. A really healthy one. We were out riding bikes. I was spending the night at my older son's. We were having a really amazing growth in our relationship. There was a lot of love. And then I started learning about flat Earth. I started drinking my pee. This didn't resonate very well with them. They thought that I had lost my mind, and I have. I lost my mind, and I'm happy about it. I had to really start over. I had to really retool myself, relearn. I had to unlearn in order to relearn. It's been a long road. I started studying conspiracy, analyzing it a long, long time ago. So all of these subjects that appear are not new to me at all. Not at all. And I've learned that allowing all these things to have an adverse effect on us is just not healthy. It's much healthier to just let it go. If you really want to be helping, if you really want to be a part of healing this world we live in, you have to find the love. Being fear-based has consequences. It has drawbacks. It drags us into dark, deep holes. And I allowed that for a long, long, long time. A real long time. But once I turned off the TV, stopped watching news, sports, movies, paying any attention to celebrity or the miseries in the world, I started to shift. Now, this shift has happened over a long time. I started a spiritual path back in the 90s. I'm actually an ordained minister. But I didn't do the minister thing to marry people or bury people. I did it because I wanted to elevate my own spiritual experience. It became a very important part of my evolution. And I've decided, I've chosen love over everything. I feel that there's enough misery in the world, enough fear to go around. There needs to be more love. And you can't straddle both of these. Either live in love or you live in fear. You can't do it part-time. You can be passionate, and I appreciate that. But I look at some of the passion, and it concerns me a bit. I've seen, when I went vegan a couple of years ago, I did it for ethical reasons. I was a chef. That was my first career. And I was the chef of a restaurant in New York City at 20. I was running hotels. I was running banquet and catering departments. I can honestly say I had a lot of blood in my hands. A lot. And the first time I saw veganism, I happened to live in Sedona at the time. I was invited to this potluck by some people who I met at a party a week before. And we were playing music, and we were all kind of entertained, I suppose. So I got invited to this potluck. Now, nobody told me it was a raw vegan potluck. Nobody told me that. And I showed up with a big old pot of sausage soup. This didn't go over very well. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine, a real brilliant artist and musician, he looked at me and he said, "You've got your nerve." And I said, "Dude, if I knew that this was a vegan potluck, I would have respected and honored that, but nobody told me." And what I experienced in that day was a lot of hostility. I got so turned off to veganism because of their attitudes. They were looking at me with, disgust. Kind of like people who don't drink therapy, I suppose. So I resented it. I did. And so it took me almost another, 16, 17 years to wake up. Now, I had a couple of pages on Facebook a couple of years ago, and they accelerated. I had maxed them both out. I had 5,000 friends, supposed friends, on both these pages. But what I found is a lot of hostility. I found hostility in the vegans. I found it like their attitudes were so Nazi. The dog rescuers. It was so vicious. I love animals. I do. I have a lot of empathy and compassion for what happens every day in the industrial complex. It's repulsive. It's disgusting. But if you turn all of that into hate, it's not good. Not in my book. Because, hate only attracts more hate. We are total energy, as Tesla puts it. Energy, frequency, vibration. So we attract whatever we vibrate. Whatever we think about, we bring about. So if we want hostility, hate, rage, violence, fear, shame, jealousy, guilt, think those thoughts. You'll create them. absolutely unconditionally. It's just the simple law of the universe. It's the real secret. So if you don't like your life, look in the mirror. If your life is really shitty, guess who's responsible? It's not hard to figure out. This shit is really simple. But it's not easy. Life isn't easy. It's not supposed to be easy. You'd never learn anything if it was easy. But simple, it is. The laws that we follow, it all makes a big difference. We are just magnetic energy fields connected. When you open your pineal gland and you gaze at the sun and you see that photosynthesis, that energy, that vibration, it's amazing. It's like being in a disco, man, on acid or something. It's crazy cool. And we all possess this power. We all have it. Nobody was given a short change. The toolbox is available to everybody, regardless of their situation or condition. It's just simply a matter of recognizing it. Now, why do I do what I do? Love. That's it. Love is a dharma. It's a purpose. It's a mission. I want to really contribute at a much higher frequency than I ever have before. And this isn't about me. Not at all. Everybody wants love. Everybody wants a hug. I have found that even the biggest burly monsters want love. They may be asking to be punched in the face, but I look at them with pure love. And I'll just say, brother, it looks like you need a hug. May I? May I give you a hug? And you'd be amazed how people respond to that. Because they're tortured. Their souls are tortured. And who isn't tortured somehow? And we have a tendency to blame others for our condition, for our circumstance, for our limitation. Doesn't work. It's all an inside job. If we don't take time to go in and reflect, we're missing the big show. And I know I'm a fuck up. It's not that I know so much. I just happen to have a mind that works in a certain cadence and a rhythm and rhyme. And I have a memory that just is deep. It goes, my files are deep. So I can pull frames of reference from many sources in the blink of an eye. It's really effortless, quite frankly. But that's just because I recognize my own skills and I utilize them. And for the first time in my life, I'm in a position where I can actually exercise some of the skills that I've worked at developing for decades. Speaking is just, I used to have a huge Amway business, huge. And I'd be flown around in private jets to talk to groups. I'd be on stage in front of 20,000 people with a mic in my hand, motivating them, inspiring them, hoping that just somebody in that room might get a glimmer in their eye. and inspired to do something with their life that then bitch and complain about how fucked up it is. I went to broadcasting school. I went to film school. I went to cooking school. But when I went to regular school, I had no interest. I was deemed a failure. I found some old report cards that actually managed to not get burned up when our house burned down when I was 13. And they were from grade school. And some of the comments were really amusing. The teacher would say, you know, that I wouldn't settle down, that I was daydreaming, that, you know, school just looked like a social event, that it really wasn't, you know, knuckling down. But perhaps, maybe, I don't know, I can't really say, but perhaps somehow my early memories were showing me that it was bullshit. I don't know, I can't say. But I failed. I had to go to summer school every single year just to pass, to go to the next grade. I never favored indoctrination. I really never conformed very well. I really actually I went sideways real early. But in my good fortune, along with the abuse that I was taking from my older brothers, I was being introduced to the likes of Lenny Bruce. I was being introduced to the mothers of invention and the Fugs and John Coltrane and Miles Davis. Before I was even a teen, I was being introduced to so many different eclectic sources of knowledge. And for this, I'm grateful. I had somebody comment to me just yesterday about my use of language on my video. And she stated, you know, like, you use the F word so much. Well, I say, fuck that. I understand what I'm saying. I always understand what I'm saying. I'm very cognizant of what I say, and I use these words specifically. Why? Because words are meaningless anyway. And if it pushes people's buttons, good. I'm happy to do so. Because it's not about me. It's about you, whoever you are. If you get plugged in, disturbed, upset, angry, all those things because of what somebody else says, does, it's not them, it's you. And I had to face that. I had to face that a lot. The one thing I have in my resume is too many failed relationships. It's one of the things that I can say honestly I was successful at. Failed relationships. Now I had to take a serious look at that. My mother, bless her, after my third marriage, she said, you know, you might want to think about taking a break. And that was some really wise words. Now, at that time, I didn't realize I was going to end up being single and celibate for 10 years. But I had a lot of growth that I needed to consider. Along with all my other addictions, sex was one of them. And so it became just another, you know, source of relief, I suppose. I don't know. A way that I thought that I was expressing my love, which was bullshit. And, you know, when that part fell short. I did too. Now, I've had an experience in my life where, from a very early age, one of my deepest rooted fears was abandonment. It's an issue I still deal with. And I successfully sabotaged myself over and over and over because of that fear of abandonment. I would bail before they did. How fucked up is that? That's fucked up. But I work at improving myself. I consider it every moment. I look at my life and consider every moment as a blessing. I value the growing tribe, the people that I know now. Wow, what a gift, what a blessing. And I love you all so dearly, I do. I've had a remarkable gift given to me, and I cherish it. I don't take any of this for granted, not at all. As I said, this isn't about me. It's not. I'm just a vessel, and I feel deeply. I have a lot of empathy. I really do care about people. I really do. I want to see people heal. I used to do a lot of show business for decades. I produced probably, my guesstimate is like over 400 shows in my life. Now, this wasn't about money. I can assure you that, because I spent more money than I ever earned producing shows. And the gift that I was receiving in this opportunity, I created an open mic. This was in Sedona, Arizona, back in the late 90s and 2000. And I had the privilege of experiencing people that had never performed in front of anybody, ever. They were just stepping on stage for the first time with all that fear, all that stuff going on in their head. And I would just pull them aside and I'd say, "You feeling some butterflies?" I'm like, yeah, you're a little nervous. Yeah. I said, "You know what that really is, don't you?" "No." I said, "That's energy. It's just energy. It's waiting to be released. Get out of your head. Just be in your heart. Share your gift. Be yourself. Celebrate that shit. It's worth it." And I'd watch these people like they were butterflies coming out of cocoons. It was a marvel. It was a privilege. And I feel that same way now. Now, I don't care if a person's a vegan or not. I don't care if they smoke or drink. I don't care. I really don't. It's none of my business. I don't care what people think of me. Again, that's none of my business. We all are responsible for ourselves, like it or not. It's all an inside job. And if we can't accept the responsibility equal as an opportunity to transform our bullshit into something that's more tangible, don't look outside yourself, because you're the problem. Eldridge Cleaver, who was the founding president of the Black Panther Party back in the 60s, he said, if you have problems and you're not seeking solutions, you're the problem. I always found that to be pretty profound, pretty simple wisdom. And there's been a lot of gifts that I've been given. I've gained a lot of wisdom because I've listened to a lot of people. I've read a lot of people. You know, I accept the responsibility that has been bestowed upon me. And people look to me, you know, for leadership and inspiration, motivation, and I accept that responsibility. I do. I'm humbled by it. But what I want to really usher in at this moment is that you have all the same opportunity. Discover yourself. Realize that you're a gift. And how you show up here on the earth is nobody's responsibility but your own. I appreciate everybody I do. I can unconditionally love humanity. But no, I don't like it. Man, humanity is sick. It's really sick. I mean, I look at, I have this idea. Now, you know, by doing my urine therapy, aged urine enemas, these things, I discovered actual parasites in the process. And it was pretty graphic. And parasites live in all of us. They do, whether we accept it or realize it or not. We're parasitical. Now, if we look at this in a microscope, in a petri dish, and study it, you can see the living organisms. Now, if you imagine all these parasites within us, take that microscope, turn it into a macroscope, dial it out, see it in a bigger picture, and look at humanity. Now, the way I see it, humans are the parasites of this world. Humans have done more damage and destruction to this world than all things combined. Now, that's a sad statement, but can we correct it? Can we heal it? I believe we can. Maybe that's simplistic. Maybe that's Pollyanna. I don't give a fuck. I don't. I really do trust my experience. I trust that by holding the space of love, that really am contributing to the healing process. What else is there to do? Be a part of the destruction or part of the solution? I choose solution. I choose that path. I think it's a healthy choice. And P's helped open my eyes. It's helped me open my heart. It's helped me open my mind. Healing my body, that was huge. My body was a fucked up mess. I had spent a lifetime fucking my body up. Really, really a lot. 4 years ago, as I sit here, I had 4 cervical vertebrae that were all out of line. They were all crooked like this. It was pinching on a nerve in my neck. And that shit was 24/7. I was in so much pain all the time. And that was just my neck. It had nothing to do with the other shit that I was going through. My body was fucked up. So you know what I did? I laid around, waiting to die. Really, quite frankly. I drank heavily, smoked a lot of pot, ate shitty food, laid around, licked my wounds, watching movies all day. It was really pathetic, really was. But then, out of the blue, I ended up getting disability. And the funny thing is that my disability went through because of all my other body problems. It had nothing to do with my neck, which was amazing because that was the most critical thing in my experience at that time. But I had surgery. I got the scars to prove it. Now, what happened as a result of the surgery, that pain went away. And that was a miracle. That was just amazing. I have a plate in my neck. I have 4 vertebrae screwed together. 8 screws. And so it did a lot of nerve damage. The whole side of my face and neck was numb for like 3 years. When I started drinking my pee, that all started to heal. It's like a miracle. I have no numbness anymore. None. It's crazy cool. And it was really, I'm grateful for what happened at that time, because it really gave me more incentive. Once I had that neck surgery, and I do thank my surgeon, I do. He was brilliant. I started a new path. I started changing my ways. I weighed 246 pounds. I was a fucked up mess. But I started walking again. I started getting, out and getting fresh air. And as I did, the pounds started to shed. I went from 246 to 226 in a pretty short time. I went from 226 down to 206. And that felt amazing. And so as I finally, I got hip to veganism. I changed my diet completely. Within a week, I stopped meat, seafood, dairy, alcohol, just like that. And I went from 206 to 196 to 186. I was actually like a new person. But nothing was changing as far as my body pain. I still had COPD. I still had arthritis, bursitis, tendinitis, degenerative disc disease. I was cramping all the time in my hamstrings and calves. But I pushed forth anyway. And then along comes pee. Wow, what a change. Pee shifted everything. When I was first introduced to it, the arthritis in my hands was so severe, I couldn't open a water bottle. I just couldn't even do it. I looked like a decrepit old man. But within 10 days of drinking my pee, I had free movement in my hands again. It was really astonishing. So I went full in. It only took me 48 hours from the time I was introduced to urine therapy to jump right in. I started looping. I went fruitarian. I quit eating cooked food. I started drinking a gallon of distilled water a day. And my body was responding like I would have never believed. I just was astonished how rapidly my body started to change. So I am a devotee. I am a big proponent. That's why I put myself out there. I have no fear. It's all love. I know that if others weren't there before me to show me the path and show me the light, I may have still been in all that, discomfort and pain and still taking all those meds. And I was taking a lot of meds. I was taking the handfuls 3 times a day just to get by, day by day. But no more. All that shit's gone. It's just gone. I drink my pee daily. I'm now drinking it through my nose, which actually this morning I'm getting better. It's a technique, and you just have to process the process, like anything else. You start drinking through your nose and, you'll get it. But it is powerful. It's a brain flush. It's a real shift. And again, I'm grateful because knowledge is out there. It's everywhere. People say ignorance is bliss. No, I don't buy that shit. Ignorance is ignorance. Bliss is bliss. I made an acronym for that word a long time ago. Being loved in spiritual splendor. Bliss. So I follow my bliss. I cherish it. And I make myself available to anyone, always. I get people PMing me, video chatting, calling. I get people giving me shout outs and reach outs from every corner of the earth, which is amazing to me. I was a loner all my life. I mean it, even when I was surrounded by masses of associates who hung on my every word. It was still empty. I was empty. And it's taken a lot of work to fill the void. But urine therapy really helped me. It really did. It opened my eyes. And I realize there's a lot of people out there. They're really challenged. They're in a lot of pain. And if we give them a reasonable example, if we show our own integrity and genuine true colors of the transformation we experience, they'll get it or they won't. Now, I see urine therapy no different than I saw the veganism. I'm not going to be a Nazi about it. I am committed. I really do dedicate my life to this knowledge at this point. And I constantly learn as much as I can and share as much as I can because I do believe there's one person in the room that might hear it. Now, I put a meme up today about, if I post too much, because somebody PM'd me and said, you're posting too much. You're putting in all these groups and, there's members and, da-da-da. And I respect that. And I told him I appreciated his insight. That's why I posted the meme, just to see. I mean, I'm not out to turn people off or impose my will. It's not what I'm about. I just want to share the love. And not everybody is in the same groups. Many of us are. I happen to be in 13 different groups. I created one myself. I'm an admin in several. And I welcome everybody. When I started the High Vibe Tribe, I did it as an open mic. I allow people to post. I don't review what people post. I allow them to post. Why? Because I can. I think it's important that people have a format that they can feel free in. And it doesn't have to be about urine therapy. That's why it's called the High Vibe Tribe. It's all about reaching higher frequency. And I choose that word carefully. Because for me, it is about the P. I am at a higher frequency. P has changed my life. And so I am going to continue doing what I do. And I want to thank all the people that responded to my meme and showed their love and their appreciation. It was very humbling. Yeah, I love you all so dearly. You know, I don't know how else to explain it. You know, this beautiful family that's everywhere. We're everywhere. I've had invitations from people in every country, in Europe, several in Africa, many in India, to please come and visit. And I hope to. I intend to. I just want to keep spreading the message. That's what I want to do. I never want to exclude anybody from the potential that they have living inside of them. A lot of us just need a hug. We need a gentle hand. A lot of people need hand holding. They've been conditioned to doubt. They've been conditioned to fear. We all were. We were indoctrinated into systems that were set up to control, manipulate, and fuck with us. Not to help us, not to open our hearts and minds. It's everything but that. And I find, in my experience, some of the most educated people that are out there with all their degrees have the most limited capacity for thinking, creative thinking, being open-minded, because they have a lot to defend. They didn't spend all that time and money getting those doctorates, those plaques on the wall, the big house they have, and the cars they drive, without committing to that system. So for them, man, it's a hard pill to swallow when you tell them that they may have been misled, that they have been lied to. They don't want to buy it. That's why flat earth is such an interesting topic, because it really puts people at extreme odds with each other. Now, I refuse, I really simply refuse to argue or debate or fight anybody about anything. I am what I am. My knowingness is my knowingness. I live in my truth. Doesn't have to be your truth. You know, what is the truth? It's another word. But if we aren't living in our truth, if we're just accepting others' truth, might not like the results. So, to think outside the box, first you have to recognize there's no box. That's creative thinking. That's free thinking. And I appreciate free thinkers, not people that just repeat indoctrination because they were educated. How impressive is that? I think you'll find more wisdom by a homeless person sitting there begging on the street for money sometimes. Because talk about humility. Talk about having to face harsh reality. And to put themselves in that kind of vulnerability. That takes a lot. And I empathize. May we all live, love, blessed lives in comfort with others, sharing love. That's all anybody really wants anyway. They want to be loved. They want to be heard. They want to be accepted. And I know, because I've been an outcast all my life. All my life. So now, I'm living the vida loco. It's a crazy life. And I celebrate it every day. I celebrate every moment, every breath I get. That's why every video I made, I would start it out by, what a beautiful day to be alive, because I really do own that. Every day I'm given, I consider a blessing. I take nothing for granted, ever. Ever. It's a privilege to be here. And I love you all so dearly. So I'm going to get off now, but this is something I intend to continue. Weedu needs a break sometimes. He works overtime. And as, his producer, I know he does. He's my stunt double, if you haven't figured that out. He's just another part of my expression. So, Cayce Kaban, he's my straw man stunt double. So I've actually created 2 stunt doubles from what my birth certificate identified me as. A property, a product. I'm just a corporation that sits on the stock market, being manipulated and traded. It's really an interesting understanding when you start looking into it, how we've been duped, how we've been set up, how our lives were taken away from us the moment we came out of the birth canal. It's really astonishing, quite frankly. And it was all done by design. It's all done on purpose. And until we recognize that we are not that we are a person, a live person, not just a number on the stock exchange. We may never understand, or more importantly, understand who we really are. So I chose Cayce Kaban. It was introduced to me by some friends in Sedona who did Tibetan numerology of all things, and they came up with the name. And it resonated. So I accepted it. I adopted it. It became my id. It became my new persona. And so I celebrate it. I do love me. I've learned to love me. I've learned to accept me, regardless of how I'm viewed in the world. And I really like weedu too. Weedu just, man, Weedu's so fucking far out. What a character he is. He's just a character. Understand that. But weedu has a lot of love too. We're in it together. We're co-sponsors for this message. But as I said, he has the night off. He'll be back. People asked me today, why aren't I making daily shows and all that? Well, if you understood how much work I'm doing and how much time it really takes, you'd appreciate everything that I'm doing it's all an act of love. It's all a labor of love, and it takes a lot of energy, a lot of time. And I willfully grant it. I surrender it because I think it's important. It keeps me focused. I feel I found a real dharma, a true purpose. And so, with that being said, I want you to know that I love you all dearly. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate every one of you so much, so dearly. And I hope you're all doing well. I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful, marvelous day wherever you are. Share the love. Be the love. Live the love. Keep your peace together. Ha ha ha. I'm going to sign off now. So, love you. Ciao for now.